Hi, my name is Aya. You're watching Aya Reads, and I'm here to introduce my vlog reading Phantom by H.D. Carlton. So I haven't read an H.D. Carlton yet, and I've heard or I read some things that maybe this one is connected to the Cat and Mouse Duet and maybe not. I guess I'll tell you once I read the book, but I'm very excited about it since it's also like a historical romance and I want to read more historical romances. But I am very interested to see what I think about this book and what I think about H.D. Carlton's writing in general. So if I love this one, maybe I'll read the Cat and Mouse Duet soon after. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely leave me a like if you do enjoy this video. And if you don't want to tell me anything, leave me a ghost emoji for the Phantom. And this is going to be non-spoilery, but I'm just going to see if this is a good book or not to help you decide if you want to read this book or not. So yeah, let's cue to the vlog. Okay, so before I get started, this is in fact tied to the Cat and Mouse Duet. In my intro, I told you guys that I wasn't sure, but it is. We're following apparently Adeline's grandmother. Although I have, like I said, I've not read the Cat and Mouse Duet. It seems strange that it's her grandmother, considering this woman is already 34 or 35 in 1944. So I don't know. Maybe it's like a great grandmother. I don't know. So Genevieve or Gigi is her name. So before I get started, actually, so I am homesick from work. I don't feel well, but luckily good enough to read. So the plan is to finish this book today. So I started it yesterday evening, but I didn't get far. And now I'm on page 133. So like I said, you follow Genevieve or Gigi, and she is married to John and has a daughter named Sarah. And her marriage is not going so well. So John was her childhood sweetheart, and they've been together ever since they were younger. He built her this house that is very much Gothic vibes and very much haunted too. So 5 men died in a fire while building her house, and she sees these like strange ghosts in her house. And then one day this man shows up, this phantom who keeps watching her. And this phantom's name is Ronaldo, which I have not ever read a book with a hero named Ronaldo. And if so, I used to have a giant crush on Cristiano Ronaldo, so I'm definitely picturing him looking like Cristiano Ronaldo. So I'm just living my best life doing that. So this takes place in 1944, so during like the end of the World War II. He is in the mafia. So he's like the consigliere, I don't know how to pronounce that. So he's basically the right-hand man to the mafia boss. And John, that dickhead, has been gambling away their money. And therefore he owes a lot of money to the mafia. And basically, Ronaldo was like scoping out the house to watch John and his family in case they needed to threaten him or his family for him to pay up. But he became obsessed with his wife. Like the instant he saw her, like it took him like 3 seconds to look at her to realize, I'm in love with you. And I'm not lying when I say that. Like, that is exactly what happened. Like, he saw this mysterious, dark-haired girl with red lips, and he immediately became obsessed. So he started stalking her. So he would be, like, waiting outside the whole day. Like, even her daughter saw him and just keep watching her. And she looks back because she's intrigued with him, too. And then at some point, he actually goes into the house and visits her, and this is gonna be their romance. So this does involve cheating, and you guys know I hate cheating in books, except in the rare occasion where the husband is obviously just a sucky man. And we already had an SA scene in here by the husband to the wife, so I don't feel too bad about him being cheated on. But like I said, I prefer if there isn't cheating in books, but in this case, since it takes place in the 1940s, it's not that easy to leave. She's a stay-at-home mom because he never wanted her to work, and he's a giant douchebag, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna die anyway. I'm fine with it. Like I said, I don't condone cheating in real life. And also I don't like it in books, but in this case, I'm like, you know, fuck him. What I find interesting about this book is that this is both insta-love, like I just described. Like, he was obsessed with her the moment he saw her. it's both instant love but also slow burn at the same time. Like, it takes them a while before they kiss. It takes them a while before something sexual actually happens. So that is an odd thing to see. And also, so I've not read, like I said, I keep repeating myself, I've not read the Cat and Mouse Duet. So I don't know, I truly don't know if the reading experience will be different if you had read that book. All I know is that this is unhinged, but I knew that going in. Like, I have heard many things about the Cat and Mouse Duet to know that the hero in that book does some crazy ass shit and is definitely obsessed and also stalkery. I've seen on her Instagram that she says that you cannot compare the two. I believe Zaid is the hero's name in the Cat and Mouse Duet. But I find Ronaldo to be also unhinged. Also, I feel like where does he get the time from? Like, he spends hours, first of all, stalking her, and then spends hours with her during the day. Like, when does he find time to sleep and work? So that is interesting. So there are a couple of things that bother me, even though I am thoroughly entertained. Like, I'm flying through it. Like, it has short chapters, and I find myself being intrigued and finding myself definitely interested to see how this is gonna work. There are a couple things that bother me. The first is, so as much as I love diary entries in books, these ones sometimes don't make any sense, because there would be a diary entry after every single chapter. So even after her own point of views. So that would just be a recap of everything we've just read. And I don't like that. And if there's something, like, a big pet peeve of mine is if things get repeated. Like, if we get like recaps in the book itself, it's like, I just read that. Like, you don't need to tell me. I literally read that 5 minutes ago. So you would get like the entire chapter and then she would write it in her diary. That I don't like. What I would have preferred instead is if we'd gotten his point of view and then we'd get like a snippet of diary entry from her to see how she felt about that scene. That I would find interesting, but having a whole ass chapter in her point of view and then having a page recapping what happened from like her diary, it makes no sense. It's like, yeah, I read it, I got your thoughts on it, why do we need a diary entry? You know what I mean? So it would have made more sense if so this is a dual point of view story. Obviously, it would have made more sense if we'd gotten her point of view without a diary entry, and then we'd get his point of view, and then afterwards we'd get a diary entry of her describing what that scene was like for her. Also, I feel like I don't really know these two. Not yet anyway. So like I said, I'm not that far in. I'm only 37% of the way through. But for her, I know that she is a wife. I know that she's a mother. And I know that she likes gothic things. That is her entire personality. And him, I know even less about. Like, I know he works for the mafia and that he's obsessed with her, and that's all I know. I think what highlighted it for me was she says, we spent 2 weeks telling each other everything about each other. It's like, why was I privy to that? I wanted to know that. You are the characters I'm reading about. I also want to know everything there is to know about you. You know what I mean? So we got one scene where they were sharing secrets, and his secret wasn't that interesting. Like, it was about him rescuing a raccoon. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. That doesn't tell me a whole lot about you as a person. I mean, it does a little, but not enough. And I'm not saying we needed to see the whole 2 weeks, but I would have liked a couple scenes where they were just sitting around telling the other about the other one. Also, it doesn't help that she doesn't actually have any friends that she can visit, because I think that would help in her character development, because she's constantly alone in her house and she's either spending time alone writing in her diary or she's with Ronaldo, and sometimes we don't even get those scenes, you know what I mean? Having said all that, I am enjoying it. I like the setting. Like, I've not read a historical romance set in this time period in the 1940s, and I like the way she describes things. I like the slang that is used. I feel like I am transported into that time period. I think she did a good job. Even though, like I said, we don't get to see a whole lot about the world. We mainly spend all our time in the house. So a part of me, even though I do feel like she's doing a good job, I wish she would change the setting a little bit. So we only really get to see outside of the house when we're in his point of view, and we just get more scenes, at least from now, because he also spends a lot of hours in her house. It's mostly there. So yeah, I am now 37% of the way through. Like I said, I am enjoying it, but I don't know. I don't think I could give it a rating now. There are things I'm enjoying, but there are also some glaring things that don't make any sense to me. But I mean, it doesn't have to make any sense. I know that. But so far I'm not in love with this story and not in love with these characters, but I'm not even halfway through, so we'll see. Let me see if I have any other thoughts. No, I think that's it. I guess you'll see me in my next update. There is a crawl to me scene. Listen, a lot can be redeemed with a good crawl to me scene. I just came here to say that, okay? That is vital information to share. Alrighty, I just finished the book. And I do have to say, I don't think you could read this as a standalone, even though I did. And nothing, okay, so I have to confess, I didn't research a lot, but on Goodreads, it's not marked as part of the cat and mouse duet on her Instagram from what I've read. It doesn't specifically say that you have had to have read the cat and mouse duet, and I do think that you have to, even though I haven't read it yet, because I don't think this stands well on its own at all, actually. And even though I did enjoy the first like 150 pages, especially the last 100, I kind of got bored because nothing much was happening. And the ending was not an ending. Like in my opinion, it didn't have an HEA. It didn't have a happily ever after. It had like a happy for now in a way. And I think if you want to know the end of their story, you have to read The Cat and Mouse Duet. And I think if you read it, I don't think it has a happy ending. I'm not sure. It's just what I think. So I ended up giving this book 3 stars because there were a lot of things I did enjoy about it. But I don't know. I think this could have been better in my opinion. So let me start with the things I like. Obviously, I already told you about a lot of things I liked in my first update. I did forget to mention that I love his nickname for her. First of all, I am a sucker for a nickname, especially a nickname that is in a different language. Like, I just love that. I don't know why, that's my catnip. I ate that shit up. So he calls her Mia Rosa. So I just love that. I don't know, I like that. I'm a simple girl, I like simple things, and that is one thing I love. This wasn't long. You fly through the book, as I said before, like it doesn't take long to read at all. The chapters are short, but and like I said, that was fine in the beginning because you wanted to turn the pages to see what was gonna happen. In the end, the stakes weren't that high in my opinion. Like they could have been. Like if you think about it, the stakes were definitely high because he's in the mafia, very high up in the mafia. She's cheating on her husband. Okay, there's also a best friend of the husband who is somewhat causing trouble. Yet all of those things never really were an actual threat in the book. Whereas it could have been. Like there was at one point where the husband was gonna go on like a fishing trip with the best friend, and I had like the scenario in my head, like this is gonna happen and this is gonna happen and this is gonna happen, and then all of a sudden it was like a month later and nothing happened. It was like, this could have been so good, so action-packed. And that's, I think, my main problem with this is this doesn't really have a plot at all. Like I think she hoped that the plot would come from like the whole mafia thing, but even that fizzled out in the end. Like that was not interesting at all. Really, like the only thing these two were doing was waiting until she was home alone to fuck each other, and that was like their days over and over and over and over again. Like nothing interesting. Like there wasn't even a point, like at one point I was reading and I was like, when is the husband gonna come home? Like it wasn't even a scene of the husband accidentally coming home a little bit earlier than usual. Like there was no stakes at all. There was nothing in me where I was like, oh my god, they're gonna get caught. And then what is the point to have a cheating romance, you know? Anyway, the other things that were bothering me, like I said, like she even says it towards the end of the book. Like this is how she describes herself: a woman who has an unhealthy obsession with Gothic architecture, who wears red lipstick like it's armor, who pours herself into a journal lest she goes mad, and a woman who's helplessly in love with a made man. That is her entire personality. This woman has no other personality, nothing. And I think we could have gotten that, even though she does say that she hopes he will give her a personality, I guess. Like, can we do this? Can we do this? I want to see if I like this. I want to see if I like that. Okay. Like, the one point where we could have gotten her a personality was her going on a girls trip with her friend, and she canceled that. Like, I feel like I know we're reading a romance, and I know it's between the love interests, but usually with romances, you know what gives characters personality is their interactions with other people, not just in the romance. And we never really got to see them truly know each other. I think that's my main gripe. Another gripe I really had was the hypocrisy of both characters. Although I do have to say, I give her a lot of grace for the fact that she does have a shitty husband. So even though I kind of sometimes was rolling my eyes when she talked about her husband doing shitty things, when I'm like, girl, you are literally... Okay, I was gonna say something vulgar. I'm gonna keep it a little bit PG. You literally just finished having sex with your boyfriend. What do you mean, no? You know, he's a shitty guy. Having said that, I do give her grace. I don't even care. He had sex with her against her will, and he got them into this mess. So fuck the husband, honestly. But he was also a hypocrite. Like, the only reason he cared an ounce about the safety of Gigi and her daughter is because she was hot. Because any other woman, he didn't give a fuck about. Like, he had no qualms shooting a woman in the head who he had slept with before. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I don't like that. I know I have read mafia romances. I know they're not good guys, but I mean, in some of the other mafia romances, at least they had some sort of moral compass. This guy didn't have any. The only moral compass he had was for women who are hot. And then in that case, I don't care about you. Then in that case, I don't care if you die. Like, go fuck yourself. Like, I don't know, like at least 2 scenes of us seeing him actually kill a woman who, for all we know, did nothing to deserve that. So I don't like that. Not at all. Okay, so he became kind of unlikable to me. I just wish we had like more interactions of her with her daughter, mayhaps. I don't know, but she lacked personality and this lacked real plot. Me as a reader, just thinking of scenarios, I could have come up with some plot that would have been a little bit more engaging than this, because at one point I mean, yes, their sex scenes were hot, but at one point I was kind of wanting to skip them. I didn't, but I wanted to. If this was a little bit longer, I would have, because I just didn't care. Like, I read this before. It was just a different position, you know what I mean? So, and like I said, I don't know. Definitely let me know if you have read The Cat and Mouse Duet. Does this hit you any differently because you read that duology? Leave that below, because I would really be interested. I am planning on reading The Cat and Mouse Duet maybe this year, so I guess I'll have my answers then. But I would really love to know from you guys, if you have read The Cat and Mouse Duet, what you thought of this book. Like I said, 3 stars. It was fine. I don't think I would recommend it for people who have not read the original duology, honestly. But it wasn't bad. This was something I've never read before, so like I said, I did like the time period it was set in, and for a cheating romance, this was not, like, the cheating part was not that offensive to me. In fact, at one point I was like, when is the husband coming home? Because I kind of I want him to walk in on them. And it made sense. Like, with a lot of cheating romances, like I said, it makes no sense why the spouse is not leaving. In this book, it made sense why. Because they live in the 1940s, being a single mom, it will have real consequences for her daughter if she divorces her husband. So in that case, fine. Then cheat on your husband since he's a dick. I guess those are my thoughts. I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts other than that. I do have to say, in the second part, the diary entries made a little bit more sense. I felt like they give extra information that we didn't get in the chapter. So that is all I wanted, really. All I know is, the way I'm looking right now, if my husband was on Ronaldo's radar, he would 100% not only kill my husband, but shoot me too, because I'm looking so ugly right now. Anyway, do I have any other thoughts? Yeah, I think at the end of the day, do I believe these 2 are in love? I don't think so. Honestly, I think she could have... I don't think there's anything uniquely they love about each other. I think if any other mysterious, handsome stranger showed up to stalk her, she would have fallen in love with him, because her marriage was so sucky and her husband was drunk all the time and her husband was causing her real problems. And I think for him, if he went to a Target's house and had found his wife to be gorgeous and beautiful, I also think he would have fallen in love with her, you know what I mean? And the only thing that convinces me otherwise is just the type of sex they had. So in that case, that alongside the fact that this doesn't really have an HEA, I don't know if I could call it a romance novel. What I think now that I'm talking it through, I think this should have been a novella and it should have been part of, like, it should have been just like a prequel in the Cat and Mouse Duet. And I don't know if that was her intention with this book. And in that case, it's on me for reading it without having read the Cat and Mouse Duet. But I think that would have been perfect. I think this should have been 100 pages shorter and we just gotten like snippets of their time together, maybe even like in diary form. And I think that would have satisfied all the people who were intrigued by the grandmother's story, I guess. But I don't think this justified being a full-length novel. I'm sure, I mean, I have read a lot of the Goodreads reviews and a lot of people have given it 5 stars, so maybe I'm the odd one out. And like I said, maybe it's my own fault for not reading the Cat and Mouse Duet before getting to this one. But a 3-star, not a bad rating. I did enjoy my time. Like, it didn't, like, I wasn't actively despising it. But I'm not gonna lie if I say I don't think I would have been that bothered if both of them had died in the end. I'm not gonna lie here. So that's not what you want with a romance novel, obviously. So as far as recommendation is concerned, I don't know. Like I said in the beginning, I think don't bother reading this if you have not read the Cat and Mouse Duet yet. And then I think what I'm gonna go for is if you read the Cat and Mouse Duet and were really interested in the grandmother story, then yeah, I guess I would recommend it since it won't take up a lot of your time and you might love it because of all the references to maybe the original duology, I guess. I guess that is my overall thoughts on this book. Definitely let me know in the comments below if you've read this book and what your thoughts were, especially if you have read The Cat and Mouse Duet. I would really love to know your thoughts on this book. I do know a lot of people really enjoyed the bonus scene of Zaid and Adeline. I haven't read that one since I'm now gonna keep repeating myself. Really love to know your thoughts. And if you have read this book and you haven't read The Cat and Mouse Duet like me, I would also really love to know your thoughts. If you're down there, leave me a ghost emoji for the phantom. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know by leaving a like if you did. I thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll talk to you later. Bye.